More than 100 were outside. One of those, Ezekiel Elliott's father, Will Cain, is in the building. Will Cain Show every day. How we doing?
3 to 6, ESPN News, ESPN Radio.
After.
Somebody.
Yeah, heard of him. Hey.
A great lead-in.
People are,
a great lead-in. Don't insult me because I'm complimenting you.
Watch your mouth.
Stephen,
Go ahead.
I always thought like the lead-in. I thought the lead-in act was the lesser of the acts. Usually, how that goes in, like the show opener. I thought that's how it is.
Well, you know what? It could be at times. It could be at times. That ain't the case here.
One day I may consider doing radio again, and then I'll show everyone how it's done.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't mind.
Meanwhile, on this though, what are your thoughts on the rally? 100 people came out, Max.
2 points. 1, 100 people came out. That's a pathetic turnout. That's like a fraction of a lecture course at that university. That's not a big turnout. Everyone, 100 people. That's kind of a sad little turnout.
You know,
number one.
Over 66,000 students go there.
Right.
And 100
As I said,
people came
you go to a lecture course there, you're going to see that's a fraction of what you see in a lecture.
66,000, yeah.
Right. 100 people show up. Come on. Let's not make it like. Let's just contextualize this process. Right. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. 2. Matters of jurisprudence and transgressions and things like this, it's not an issue of popular opinion. The protests are irrelevant here. As a matter of law, Will, you're an attorney, right? Like either he did the right thing or he didn't do the right thing, and the opinion of Buckeyes fans there, the few of them that showed up, really should have no bearing on this issue. What are we talking about here?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, it was embarrassing. It was not a good look for Urban Meyer because evidently, you know, winning 90% of your games and delivering 2 national championships doesn't garner the level of support we all thought. When 100 people at a 66,000, populous university show out to support you, and none of them looked like students, by the way. Let's just leave it at that.
Actually, it's worse for him. They had a rally.
It actually was worse.
They may have been students once upon a time.
Yeah, maybe or maybe not with some of those signs I saw. That's number one. Number two. It's true. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Number two, and more importantly, I need to be respectful here in what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Ezekiel Elliott's father, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? You know, because we actually had gotten beyond thinking about Ezekiel Elliott and his troubles, looking forward to the football season. But now, because you showed up at this rally on behalf of a coach who's under fire for turning a blind eye and a deaf ear, purportedly, to an assistant coach who committed domestic violence, according to reports, and it's just a couple of years removed from your son being accused of the same thing, you showed up. You got, it doesn't, listen, Molly.
You're right.
This is not not that you were, but this is not a laughing matter.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, you're out there supporting Urban Meyer, not realizing you have now reminded us of what your son went through and why at a time when we were looking beyond that.
Are you saying Ezekiel's judgment is a chip off the old block?
No, I'm not going to even joke about that. This is on his daddy. This is on his daddy.
Yeah.
His daddy.
But there does seem to be some obliviousness, right?
His clueless, and just an embarrassing display as far as I'm concerned, not just because of the numbers, but to the father of Ezekiel Elliott, what were you thinking?
So your analysis, and it's one, Stephen A., that I don't disagree with. But your analysis is something that's often used in sports media. It's not as eloquent as you just put it. It's reduced into like a platitude, a cliche. You've heard it. It's on sports radio all the time. It's a bad look, right? It's a bad look.
The optics are bad.
I hate that argument. I'm not saying I hate your argument. I hate the it's a bad look argument because it gets nothing to the point of what you're making, which is it right or is it wrong? Your point on Urban Meyer and whether or not he's guilty or innocent, whether or not he covered up, whether or not he knew, has nothing to do with the size of the turnout or whether or not Ohio State fans are unpopular. It shouldn't, as you said, but it will. Who's the highest paid employee in most states across this nation?
College football coach.
Football coach.
Yeah.
Who's the most popular figure in the state of Ohio?
Yeah, right.
Urban Meyer. not the governor of Ohio, not any particular politician.
You could say LeBron, even though he's in L.A. these
Well, that would be an interesting poll, actually. That would be an interesting poll. LeBron versus Urban Meyer, state of Ohio. Right. So it will, Max. It will play how popular this decision is with the public in Ohio. It shouldn't.
And this is a bad look for Urban Meyer. It's a worse look, as you say.
100 turnout, that's a point on which we all agree with. It is not good, and the signs, to your point, are absolutely embarrassing. ESPN equals fake news. Feinbaum's words are weaker than Alabama's schedule. Everything is equated to like a Saturday or Sunday, actually a Tuesday debate in college football after the rankings come out. That's what it looked like. It looked nothing like, hey, is justice being done? However, let's get to a point on which I don't know that we'll agree on. What are Ohio State fans saying, and do they have a point? I did this yesterday on my radio show because I think it's important. I think we have a condition in the media where we consistently rush to judgment. And I wanted to ask myself, did we do that with Urban Meyer? We heard one side of a story. We heard Brett McMurphy's report. We heard Courtney Smith's side of the story. None of that's to say it's wrong. None of that's to say it's false. But did we form conclusions prematurely before we heard all sides of the story?
Well,
the
once
answer to that,
he kind of lied, that's when I...
And you know, Molly, the funny thing is, I talked about this yesterday. His lie, and it's no doubt, Urban Meyer lied. He's admitted to the lie. Painted everything we thought, because why lie? If you did it right, why do you need to lie? And I think that question stands. And the truth of the matter is, I think where we started is actually correct. The circumstantial evidence is piled high. The smoke coming out of the building isn't out of the chimney, it's out of the windows and the roof. It looks bad, and he lied. But it's worth us revisiting, because Ohio State fans are asking, did we rush to judgment? Did we hear all sides? Did we take all facts into account?
My response to you would be this. Sometimes you're so cerebral that you convolute the issues more than you realize.